It's widely known that belonging is like the top of the top of the top of like the cravings of human beings. We want to belong. But I really think that more than wanting to belong and rise to an occasion and fit in and be good enough for whoever, I really think that we desperately need to belong to ourselves more than the connection with others and the love we have for others. There lies such a deep unrest if we don't feel like, first and foremost, we have our own backs, that we recognize ourselves. Help Me See is a podcast dedicated to the art of seeing. It's a space for the restless visionary with an insatiable desire to create the life and work you're meant for. My name is Bianca Leah Mora, and I'm a photographic artist, a mother, and a coach who's transformed my fear of loss into power, art, and philosophy. One of the scariest quotes I never want to say is, "I wish I knew at the time." But I truly believe that we have the innate ability to bring our wise 2020 hindsight to our now. You can deeply experience your nostalgia now while it's actually happening with no regrets. All you have to do is see. In this show, we laugh, we cry, we get inspired, we overshare. We have life-changing conversations around making meaning, self-discovery, and shedding all of the BS layers in order to reconnect to our own sacred vision. Seeing yourself is an essential key to living powerfully. You are the vessel, the lens that filters absolutely everything in your life. What are you filtering for? Whether it be conversations with fellow artists and visionaries or my solo audio journal style introspective ramblings, each episode is meant to feel like an exhale, an unraveling of truth, a moment for you to be able to put your finger on something that you haven't been able to for far too long. Come exactly as you are. It's perfect. Honor your instincts. Let's uncover some of the most important things in our lives, which all too often can slip out from our view. Let's commit to seeing and consciously creating what only you can in your one and only life. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Help Me See. Tonight, I am really dialed into thinking about what it means to have clarity in your sense of self. I just wrapped up a coaching container for myself with my coach, and I found myself being really sad that it was over, like really sad, but not sad in um, like this disempowered way of like, oh no, I don't know what to do, but sad about not having this very unique, intimate space to share with someone that is really listening, really hearing me and helping me kind of alchemize like all of the different parts of my life. I think that what can be so frustrating is when there are some areas in life where we just feel so deeply rooted, so deeply in flow, have such a strong sense of self. And then we have that contrasted with other areas of our lives where we're shaky, where it's not as easy, it doesn't feel as simple, it doesn't feel as clear. And I could sit here and think, and bang my head against my desk. But you can't force clarity. I feel like it comes and either smacks you in the face or gives you a nice warm hug in the form of, a shower or a walk or a really important conversation with a loved one, or in a very intentional way when you're seeking out containers for support and for coaching and for just community conversation. And I, with in the work we were doing together, the goal that I was working towards, and it's so, so hard for me to set goals. I always gravitate towards desiring like a state of being, and anything specific in terms of a goal or something tactical or tangible. I mean, it just feels forced for me. And but this time it felt right. It felt right to say that my goal was, a financial stability without abandoning myself and allowing myself to actually embrace it when it's here, right? And the other night I was laying in bed and I couldn't stop thinking about, or it didn't matter what the first part was, like whatever you were seeking, financial stability, but whatever it is. But the asterisks of without abandoning myself and allowing myself to embrace it. I feel like I haven't always been able to get those two to jive together. It's like holding on too strongly and not wanting to abandon myself, but also feeling like I can't embrace it at the same time. Or embracing something else fully, but that also feels like a departure from myself. And I think that the phrase without abandoning myself could be looked at as, you know, tightening your grip or just standing super firm and having these really strong boundaries. And it can look like that. But I think for me, when I know that I'm deeply rooted in myself, and when I know that there is actually no even possibility of me abandoning myself in whatever situation I'm in, I get even more loose and flexible because it's so clear to me where I stop and something else begins, or where what is meant for me and what is not. And like I'm thinking about it in the context of photo sessions right now. I just recently did a brand identity session, an intimate brand identity session, and it was so beautiful. And we talked and hung around and took pictures and went from, room to room, outside on a walk, changed outfits, the whole thing. And it was beautiful, and I loved it so much. And it's so interesting to witness myself instantly come aware in my body when all of a sudden I flow from taking photos that are complete flow state, like from within me, like these are just my purest instincts. And here it is. And when something comes to me and I'm like, oh, like I feel like this is something that this person might want, or I feel like this is a good ground to cover in terms of having imagery around this because I know her end use case for the imagery. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that actually it feels very freeing to me as well. And I love to be able to do both. And what makes me so at ease and comfortable with that is my awareness level of it. It's like I know in an instant, like when I put that camera to my face, if this is my image or if it's not my image. I mean, my, ours, whoever's, like you just know when the picture you're taking is coming externally to you rather than this symbiotic exchange that's like deeply rooted. And I always bring it back to my photo work because it truly is the place where I feel most at home. And I think when you're in a place of home with whatever the scenario, whatever the area of life it is, you have so much more space to be able to be with what is and accept what is and just move like fluidly through it with grace and with resilience. I think that in the places where we're shaky and we don't feel strongly tethered to an unconditional trust, self-trust, um, that's where things can get really sharp and painful and scary and confusing. Um, I was having a conversation with my girlfriends the other night, and one of them brought up that there was like this stat about how, this all-encompassing, really hard, hands-on, hypervigilant stage of mothering when your kids are little. It's really just about 25% of your life as a whole. And I think that that stat is so illuminating, and I love the awareness and the right sizing of it and contextualizing this the gravity of time in the situation, especially when it's so hard, so hard. And oftentimes we need to remind ourselves that it's not forever. But I think that that stat can be used to shame ourselves into, okay, it's only 25%. It's still okay. You can deal with this. Like, you can do this. Be grateful. My phrase that I use, vilifying gratitude. I hate that. Um, but my question is, and I won't let go of it. Not that I can't, it's just that I won't. It's, can I hold that knowing while also not abandoning myself, while also not putting myself aside and harboring pent up frustration or resentment and not feeling like myself and not living this portion of my life the way I truly want to for the sake of creating this beautiful narrative, this beautiful experience for my children in their childhood. Who's to say that both can exist? And I just haven't found it yet. And where is that line if it doesn't? I don't know. I don't have the answer. I'm just bringing up these really antagonizing questions, not offering any real help. Uh, no, I just refuse to suppress this visceral feeling of wanting to get at the truth of life and myself and what that can look like when I involve like the greatest loves of my life, my children, uh, because it's so perplexing how hard it is. And holding all of it at the same time feels impossible, and yet we do it all day, every day. It's kind of like when someone asks you, how did you do it? How did you get through that? Whatever it was. It's just like, you just do. You just do. So, how are we choosing to do, right? How are we choosing to get through? How are we choosing our experience in this one and only life you have? Your limited time here. I picked up this book at a bookstore in San Francisco. Oh my gosh, I don't know. It's just one of my favorite things in the world is to go into these mom and pop bookstores when I head to San Francisco for work. And I'm notoriously bad at branching out and like discovering a new author, especially fiction. And I just happened to see this book. It caught my eye because there was an old black and white photograph on it, and I love, love old black and white photographs. But you know what's so funny? That even though I resonate with the topic, the title is "And Now We Have Everything on Motherhood Before I Was Ready" by Megan O'Connell. I have no idea. I've just started the book. I'm only like 20 pages in. The reason I bought this book was not about the topic. It wasn't about the cover. It wasn't because I had heard of her before in any means, but the quote on the cover of this book um, said, "Smart, funny, and true in all the best ways. This book made me ache with recognition." Oh, like as soon as I saw "made me ache with recognition," I was like, I have to, I have to read it. Who knows if I'll feel the same, but isn't that what we're so thirsty for? This feeling of recognition, this feeling of being seen, this feeling of I'm not alone. And, I think in current day consciousness, it's widely known that belonging is like the top of the top of the top of like the cravings of human beings. We want to belong. But I really think that more than wanting to belong and rise to an occasion and fit in and be good enough for whoever, I really think that we desperately need to belong to ourselves first and foremost, more than the connection with others and the love we have for others. There lies such a deep unrest if we don't feel like first and foremost we have our own backs, that we recognize ourselves. I think that's why I fell so in love with the coach I've been working with for a few years now. When I first started working with her, of course, I felt empowered and excited, and I loved the container and became certified in neurolinguistic programming because of my experience and how deeply it impacted me, so that I can now use that modality with my clients and in my membership and in my offerings. But I think that it's so important to find the spaces that allow us to recognize ourselves. And it's okay if it's through someone else's experience and story. I think that's honestly the easiest way to get to ourselves, is to understand how we're resonating or not with someone, or how we're triggered or not by someone. What is that? I think it was a long time ago, something about like think about your favorite movie, your favorite character, the most touching one you've ever seen, and then think about how that is you. So how can we, in such a busy, noisy world filled with so many things pulling at our attention, at our capacity, at our responsibility, how can we find that safety within ourselves? How can we know that we won't abandon ourselves, and through that knowing, increase our capacity for more, increase our awareness for seeing more opportunity, for taking braver, bolder action because we trust ourselves. That is trust. The unconditional trust is what I created my Conscious Creator program about. It's my program for photographers. When I thought about what is the truest, most important thing that I feel deeply compelled to share with anyone that's interested in that world. And it's just that I haven't figured out how to make $1 million a year. I haven't figured out how to get 1 million inquiries a month. That's for damn sure. But what is so integrated in my soul is an unconditional trust in myself and knowing that I can handle literally anything that occurs in a photo session. A deep rooted acknowledgement of what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And I believe that's why with every single session, I still get surprised in the best way. And I still feel like I learn 1 million things every single time I do it. And, how long has it been? I mean, I've been taking pictures since 2008. No, earlier, earlier than 2008. No, I've been taking pictures since 2004. It's really hard to read the label from inside the bottle, right? It can be so hard to see ourselves. And I think this work of slowly and continuously uncovering parts of ourselves and connecting dots is really the work of our lives. And I think that as artists, as creators, as makers, as visionaries, as just intentional, sensitive souls in the world, I think that it is a beautiful opportunity and burden that we can carry. I think that we can do such important work in the world by going to the places where not everyone is willing to go inside and discover and share what's there. You can spend your whole life avoiding looking at something because you think the pain will just kill you and take over. Or when you're ready, you can look at it and you can be with it and you can create something absolutely profound and heal from the creation and heal from the being with it and experiencing and move differently in the world and create such positive change for yourself and for others because of it. It's work that requires patience and being gentle with yourself, which is really hard because we're such assholes to ourselves. I think it's really easy to assume that you'll never stray too far from yourself. But I think that's where we get fucked because you assume or that you wouldn't betray yourself in these big ways. You wouldn't abandon yourself in these big ways. But there's just 1 million slivers, 1 million splinters of ways in which we bypass ourselves and look the other way or avoid or go against our gut or not even stop to listen to our gut. And then all of a sudden you look one day and you're like, where the fuck am I? What is this? How did I get here? In NLP, we say that the map is not the territory. And what that means is what you see in your life, what you assume is the journey that's there is it's a version. It's a sliver of what's available in the universe and in a life. And you are constantly deleting and distorting information based on, I forget, I think it's seven chunks or whatever it is. It's like your beliefs, your values, your experiences, eh, all of these things. And I say that in a neutral way, not in a shaming way, of course. Like this is how it works. But if we're not hyper aware of what feels right and doesn't feel right, then we won't give ourselves the incredible opportunity to uncover a new territory for ourselves. In the coming days, I invite you to notice what you notice. And I know as artists, we inherently do this, right? But maybe write down something that's really been nagging at you. Like distill something and just bring it to your awareness, bring it to your consciousness, and then go through your week and allow yourself to notice in how many different ways this very specific sensation or thought, interesting idea, uh, in how many ways and how many spaces it's showing up. It's like if you think of a red car, you'll see a million red cars. That's really what it is. Just start to play with your awareness over what you're curating in your life. Play with the areas in which you feel so comfortable and so confident, so in flow, and really get curious about how you created that safety for yourself. Because if you did it there, you could do it somewhere else. It just not may not feel as natural to you. This work is so powerful and life-changing. It will change your life. And it's as simple as seeing. It truly is. And that's why I believe that the photographic medium is like such an effortless gateway. And then when you pair it with the introspective work, the subconscious programming, the coaching, the intimate containers, the community, the real vulnerable conversations with others, you just create this powerhouse, this this current of truth that washes over your whole life and anyone you come in contact with. And it's a beautiful thing. Okay, that's what I have for you today. If you are looking for one to just be involved face to face in conversations like this, I have a membership called Sacred Seeing, and it is for visionaries knowing they have important work that they want to do in this world and really looking for a safe place to prioritize this work, space to be able to hold the and both of their lives and be supported, seen, feel connected, and most importantly, actually create the work that you're here for. And then I also have one-on-one NLP breakthrough sessions if you are looking for intimate support. I have bespoke offerings. We dive into what are the subconscious programs that are running the show right now? Is it serving you? And is there a more intentional direction with your choices, with your beliefs, with your art? You can find all of this information and links to inquire and learn more in the show notes, or hop on Instagram and find me at Bianca Leah Mora. I would so love to connect with you there. Okay. I will leave you with that. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you next time.
This has been an Awkward Sage production.